26th, 2026. Planning Commission meeting to order at 6:03. And roll call.
Widow Drive. Stephanie Cody, Lake Enchantment.
Jim Johnson, White Oak Drive.
Linda Winslow, Norwood Street.
Eric Bauer, Staff Planner.
Jason McCarthy, Planning and Zoning Administrator.
Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes from previous meeting of August 12th, 2026.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes are public comment. Since there was no public comment, or no public here, there won't be any public comment, so we'll move on to new business. Marquette Township zoning ordinance update, consideration of draft articles 3 to 14, discussion.
Yep, so included in your packet tonight is draft articles 3 through 14. I'm realizing, reading the staff report right now, I failed to update the title, so it says 3 through 11, but 3 through 14 are indeed in your packet. At the previous meeting, it was 3 through 11, and with a few commissioners absent, we said we'd push the, and I know it's not a formal approval, but the consensus approval of 3 through 11 to this meeting, and then in turn, I was able to get 12 through 14, 12 through 14 drafted as well. So the remaining items, as I detailed at the last meeting, the remaining items in Articles 3 through 11 that were not done from that original list still remain to be corrected. And then the summary of amendments to 12 through 14 are also listed in your packet there. Under Article 12, it is simply grammar, punctuation, formatting, and cross-referencing corrections. Under Article 13, PUD language, again, grammar, punctuation, formatting, cross-referencing. Updating the agency names like Eagle, which is listed in the ordinance presently as the DEQ. And that's, I guess, something that could always change in the future as well. And then the only other thing under PUD was we clarified the submission requirements to require 3 hard copies. I think it presently says 2. And then we require a digital copy as well. 3 hard copies is just kind of standard for us as far as site plan reviews, copy to planning and zoning, copy to public works, and copy to the fire department. So, and then under Article 14, which is access management, which we referenced in the work session, the section that pertains to properties within 1,000 feet of the US 41 highway. Only corrections or the amendments made there are grammar, punctuation, formatting, and cross-referencing. So, again, as we've talked about what we're looking for as far as article by article is kind of a simple consensus approval where we can kind of push this to the side and move forward with some of those changes to 15 and 16 like we talked about at the session tonight. So,
Moving right along.
Yeah, again, you have my consensus. 3 through 14 are fine, look great.
and one thought I did have while we were discussing what to do with the nomograph in Article 15, if we do decide to do away with it or alter it significantly, the individual articles for each zoning district, so Articles 4 through 11, rural residential, urban residential, scenic residential, so on and so forth, those allow uses by right, accessory uses, and conditional uses, those would be likely listed out in each individual article, if that makes sense. Obviously, it's not drafted for that for you tonight, but if we go that route, that's how it would be done.
And for that reason, we may not alter Article 15 that much at all. Just because of all the cross-referencing that's present in the ordinance, it may make more sense to leave it as it is and then just make our minor adjustments. I mean, this ordinance in its present form and format has been in existence for 20 years or more, so it is a performance-based ordinance, which is nice. And so, yeah, we may just leave it alone, but we wanted to let you know that 15 and 16 will be next, and we're gonna drill into those and try to give you guys some good recommendations on some adjustments per the master plan.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Jason or Eric from anyone on these chapters?
Made the packet too big to staple, so.
I noticed that.
It's kinda nice to pull it apart though, too.
When was the last time the ordinance kind of got an update, overhaul?
Well, we've done a number of, I have a whole folder full of amendments that we've done over the last 15 years, but a complete rewrite is before my time. So more than 15 years ago. We've made adjustments to design standards, we've made adjustments to dark sky lighting, we've made adjustments for tiny homes and short-term rentals, solar we've done a good job with, so, yeah.
Who was the planner before you, Jason?
Mark Woolard, I think, or, no, that's not right.
It was, a person who we actually, for a while, we had no planner.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
the person before him was no one.
Oh,
Well, there was a gap.
And then there was a person before that gap. And his name was, I would have to think about it.
Was it Greg? I can't remember. I'll know it as soon as we walk out of the meeting, but I can't think of it right now.
what, did the planner do all the zoning ordinance, or was it the planning commission that would have done that 20 years ago, or? do you
The planning
remember?
commission, along with assistance from staff, or QPAD, or a consultant.
I think it was a consultant.
Yeah, I think you guys were using UPEA pretty heavily prior to me getting in here.
Yeah. Whoever,
But really, I mean, we're making suggestions. We want to educate you on what those suggestions are so that you understand it. But it's really, well, it's a township board decision, right? Because all this goes to the board because they're the only ones that can amend the ordinance or the map, the zoning map. But we do the grunt work, and by we, I mean the planning commission and staff, and then we propose those changes to the board. And by the time it gets to the board, I would think, you know, we've done a pretty good job of being forward-thinking and trying to be proactive with things instead of reactive, so I think the board will support. I shouldn't say, the board has supported us in the past with these types of changes, and I don't think they're anything earth-shattering. We're just trying to keep up with trends and adaptive land uses and things of that nature so that we don't get caught in a bind where we have an opportunity that comes to the township and we can't accommodate them. We want to be able to accommodate them.
So do we want to just kind of agree with Denny then on the consensus, because we don't really need a motion for this?
Article 9, I thought we would get rid of segregated business district and change it to industrial.
Yeah.
Because it's such an old term.
Yep. And we may go segregated for a while and just put industrial in parentheses next to it until the next iteration. I was up in the Canadian Rockies on my vacation, and they're changing all the provincial parks back to their native heritage names, but they're gonna put the name that everybody knows it as in parentheses. I thought that was a neat way to segue into
Yeah, I don't remember, I think you were here, but I was looking at the discrepancy between the map and the suggestion about calling it industrial. Because on the map, it's still called segregated business.
Yep.
So then it would
Would
just,
be confusing.
I think it's one way to transition it, and then we can change the map too.
so the references that you have in the master plan are sufficient with parens?
Yep.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I saw.
I guess I didn't remember if we decided on that change or not, so I guess that's why I left it alone. We can certainly,
Well,
Maybe there's a better term than industrial.
Well, until
There's probably a small
somebody
industry.
brought up last, when we were reviewing this 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, segregated kind of sounds like something out of, like, you know, in
The
South,
60s.
segregated busing or whatever.
Yeah.
Sounds like trouble, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we talked about.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna put like industrial in parentheses or something, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a way to transition it, and then we can easily go through the master plan
Workable,
and
yes. And then
anywhere it
everybody knows
says
what you're
segregated,
talking
we can just make that adjustment.
Yeah, as things get updated, maps or whatever, transition it out.
Okay.
So do we just have to do like a roll call vote, or do you have to have a?
No, you can just, if everybody's supporting them consensus, to just raise your hand.
Just keep going, right?
Consensus.
That works, yeah. 4 out of 5 ain't bad. Yeah, so next meeting, we'll set those aside now, and now we're through 14 already, right? In theory. Some of them, we may come up with something and come back at some point and be like, hey, we need to adjust that. But for the most part, 1 through 14 is done. And now we'll move into the meat and potatoes articles, which are really the land uses, height and bulk requirements and things of that nature. And we'll bring those to you in draft form at our next meeting, or we'll see. We got a kind of a jammed up meeting.
between that rezoning request for that light manufacturing type use, and there's also another special use request that involves tiny homes and a special, or a short-term rental, kind of hybrid component, both at our next meeting.
Might
So,
have some discussion there.
yeah.
Well, we have one more work session scheduled.
No,
Oh,
Have we
this
done
was
3?
three.
Whoa, wow, time flies. Okay.
We might want to revisit that again in the future, though, Danny, to
Well, also though, I think it's important to have your conversations and deliberations at a public meeting too. Not that we're making any decisions for those watching at work sessions, because we're not. What we're talking about is the next couple of articles and how those, what our ideas are, what your ideas are. But I don't think there's anything wrong with, having, we've done a master plan in the last year and a half or whatever it's been. We're gonna do an ordinance. We may be wrapped up pretty close by the end of the year. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a few extra longer meetings just to get through those things. And then, once the ordinance is in place, then we're just doing business as usual, and you guys won't have as long of meetings.
But you anticipate that the next discussion on this will be for Articles 15 and 16?
When we have the time to get to them, we will
Yes.
put them on the
But those
agenda.
will be the next two.
Yes, sir.
I would anticipate, if not the next meeting, at the September 23rd
Yeah.
meeting, which would be the second September meeting, so a month from now.
But yeah, I mean, we're constantly
Mhm.
kind of working on them. Eric's going through page by page, word by word, and then I'm just kind of filling in with ideas that I had written down or had thought about too. So we're working with it every day, just about.
okay. 6B, Recreation Committee recommendations on funding request discussion. Eric or Jason?
Well, basically, the Recreation Committee has been busy. We are updating the recreation plan and trying to sort through feasible projects. And the Recreation Committee, at their August 18th meeting, unanimously supported a motion and a recommendation to the township manager and to the township board, recommending that they establish a predictable funding commitment for recreational opportunities. The motion included two components: recommend that the township manager and township board consider allocating $50,000 a year for the next 5 years for recreation projects, where and when feasible, and basically to be a source of seed money. So we're getting a lot of pressure. Obviously, you guys have all heard about the pickleball issues and some of the other issues at Lions Park. But I think what the Recreation Committee is starting to envision is maybe another development of some kind in an area that's appropriate for those types of uses. And in order to do that, even if we secure grants, we still need seed money and matching funds to do that. And so that was the first part of it, is to recommend that the township board be able to budget $50,000 a year for the next 5 years. That's $250,000, and at 25% match, that's $1 million worth of grants potentially. And the second part of that is to recommend to the township board and manager that we begin drafting language for a proposed recreation millage. And that would be something, obviously, that we could, if supported by the planning commission and the township board, then the township board could come up with, the term, the length, and the amount. But I think the recreation committee is seeing the writing on the wall, saying, we're getting development pressure for some things. We need to have some funds to do it. We need to get them in the recreation plan, and we need to get that registered with the state of Michigan again. It is now, but get it registered with the state so we are eligible for those grant funds, and then to start doing some real planning. So the Recreation Committee made that motion and supported it, the two parts. I forwarded that on to the township manager. But what the Planning Commission, the other part of the motion was to recommend that the Planning Commission also support that and send that recommendation to the township board and manager. So essentially, the Recreation Committee is asking for your support in what they've initiated as far as a recommendation to the board for funding.
So,
And there's 2 pages of explanation of what that all was, but I listed some, some terms on some of our surveys. This isn't something that's being done in a vacuum. This is supported by survey questions on our most recent survey that was made part of the master plan. The master plan, although it's a land use plan, spoke extensively on recreation opportunities. So I think from staff's perspective and the Recreation Committee's perspective, we're trying to get everything off of center and get something going to plan something. And there's been some suggestions on other developments, whether it's Sands Township and what they've done. And there was a development in Marinette, I think it was, that was really nice. So people are traveling around and seeing these things and asking, well, why can't Marquette Township have something like that?
so Danny did a really nice job explaining to the board, and since 3 of our people weren't there, maybe Danny could talk a little bit about the 5-year.
What I thought I would do is, we'll get to the discussion of the Recreation Committee report, but just for purposes of simplicity, here's a written copy of my report that I'll make tonight, and it contains, Jason, you did a great job in stating the motion that was made, but also with respect to the second part, which is to ask the Planning Commission to similarly support this. If you look at what I just passed you, that would be motion number 2, which the Recreation Committee passed. So at this juncture in the agenda, I think it would be procedurally appropriate for us to entertain a motion as a planning commission to support the motion number 1, which the Recreation Committee made and which was sent to the township manager and the township board. So I think that since it's our subcommittee, I think we can, it would be helpful for the planning commission to make a motion tonight to support that effort, that motion by the Recreation Committee.
Any comments on that at all?
So I just have one comment. I was thinking about this, and I feel like the township board would be supportive of this because in the last year, we gave a large sum of money for a trailhead project, and we also gave money to improve the noise at the pickleball court, which probably were close to $50,000. So I think what we need to be aware of is that the township board is currently supporting $50,000 last year.
Annually.
Yeah, so maybe this is not as far reach as maybe some of us would think. I think they're doing it. The other thing, when we get to, I'll just stop. I'll talk on the second motion when we get to that. So I just wanted all of us to know that it's not a far reach. And it's really, as Jason said, the survey data shows it's what our residents and our next-door neighbors want. Recreational opportunities for all ages.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with this. I think it's a great idea.
And Denny,
Too, I don't know how you can have a recreational committee without giving them some funds or some kind of parameters.
Yeah, and then that way, if a grant opportunity comes up, you have some matching funds ready,
Yes.
and you can move on it.
And the rec plan, the action program, which are the feasible projects that we see being viable within the next 5 years, are gonna be born from public comment and input, community survey, and the master plan, and trends. So, we hear a lot, dog park, sledding hill,
splash pad.
splash pad, pickleball, storybook, walk, disc golf. Those are things that we don't currently have in our community that we could have. So Schwimwood Park is probably underutilized a little bit. Could they have maybe a disc golf course through there that might bring more attention and more people to that area, and it's also serves as a trailhead. So lots of ideas. I guess the point is that we have to get off center somehow as far as having support to do the things that the community wants.
So did we get a second on our motion?
Okay, so,
Danny made the
I don't
motion.
know, I didn't really make a motion, but I'll make it then. I move that the planning commission support the request that has been sent by the recreation committee to the township manager and the township board, that the township board allocate $50,000 each year for the next 5 years for the recreation committee budget to fund recreation opportunities when feasible, and 2, to begin the planning process to draft, begin the planning process to draft a designated recreation millage language for the ballot on the 2028 general election. And just as a parentheses, the reason I picked 2028 is I had a conversation with Randy Rattari about this, and he suggested that it would be the best one would be the 2028. So that's the motion.
Okay. Support for that?
Support?
Any further discussion?
So I'll share one more thing, and maybe you already all know this, but there was a recreation millage on the ballot a couple years ago, and it was passed, and it was for a limited time. So when it expired, the township board chose to not go back to the voters to ask it to be continued. They had a particular project that they wanted, or that the township residents wanted, and then it stopped. So, my hope would be that we have not just one project, but that we have that millage in place to fund recreation. I think there's a huge need to fund not just projects, but to fund some staff at Lions Park. Okay, so they're there, and I think that would be a benefit, but that's a personal thing, so let's see where we go with this.
I went back and looked at the mining journal to see what the vote was. Yeah, and it was 1,700 for and 400 against. So the overwhelming vote of the people who voted in the township at that time was, yes, let's do it. You know, they would still support it.
What year was that, Donna? Do you know, remember?
4 years ago, 5 years ago?
18?
I do know, but I forgot.
2018?
Pre-COVID?
Ish, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It was when the Schwemmwood development was,
Yeah, that was
hand.
part of it, and I think
yeah.
during, I don't wanna talk out of turn, but I believe this to be true. It's towards the end of that millage, the funding was being used to fund building and grounds employees instead of actually constructing more amenities and more opportunities. The funding, you have to remember, and this is, I guess I'll speak on behalf of the board, if I was a board member, okay, you're gonna build these things, but they also have to be taken care of and maintained in perpetuity. That's the way that the grant process works. So, also be cognizant of that when we start our planning process. And I think that is what happened at the tail end of the millage, where, you know, perhaps the millage is used for that purpose, for maintenance and whatnot. That's up to the board. That might be a suggestion from staff or a recommendation perhaps, but if they're budgeting $50,000 a year for the next 5 years, then we have a real chance along with the millage to both build and maintain. And I think that's important to remember.
How much of a millage can you ask for at the election? Is there a limit?
There is. We're statutorily limited as a chartered township. I'm not sure where we're at in that. That's above my pay grade, but yeah, obviously minimally is what we would want to do.
What was it, Danny? Do you remember?
I
Do you
think it
have
was
the
1
article?
mil for.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I
They did not put that to a vote, did they, initially?
somewhere.
I'm not sure, but the general election will, in 28, will obviously be a huge
Yeah.
Barometer as far as what people are looking for.
Was the one in 2018 for 5 years?
I don't know if it was in
I
2018,
think it
but the
was
last
two
one that
or-
whatever it
expired,
was.
I think it was for 2?
2 or 3,
2 or 3 years, yeah. And it wasn't much. It was
It wasn't
just
much.
the minimum to,
0.25 or something.
Okay.
I think it was to add like a
Was
a
the,
person and a half or a
was to
half
fix
time.
the ball field and.
Yeah, that too,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, I think people have spoken through surveys already, but, you know, we can certainly ask again, and Jason's gonna tell us about when the plan open house is gonna be too, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I saved that for my report, but,
Yeah.
yeah, so our next recreation committee meeting, which will be on September,
24th?
September.
It's a Tuesday.
15th, excuse me, September 15th, there's a poster out there on the wall, or on the front door. September 15th, 5:30 to 7:30, we will have snacks, and we'll have some maps up. But we are intending that to be the required, early in the process of updating the recreation plan, the required public input session. So we'll have some posters with what the master plan said and the survey said in '25. And then we'll have some maps and sticky notes as we've done in the past, where we have people come in and just share their ideas and what they want to see. And then we'll compile all that. And then the Recreation Committee, their challenge then is to ascertain within that 5-year timeframe that the recreation plan is on file with the DNR, what projects that they want to prioritize. And then there's also some projects that are still in the old plan that haven't been accomplished either, so we'll have to take those into consideration too. And then, you know, obviously some of your larger asks, like a roof over the ice rink, you know, those can also be part of that discussion. So that would be Tuesday, September 15th, 5:30 to 7:30, and I have the community room reserved for that.
I just found to answer Jim's question, I just found the notes from the Mining Journal, November 5th, 2020 edition. Township residents passed the recreational funding millage 1634 to 792, authorizing it be increased by a new millage in an amount not to exceed 0.5 mil for 2 years. 2020 and 2021, both inclusive, to provide public recreational activities, opportunities, and staffing levels for facilities for township residents. The estimated revenue the township will collect in the first year was $138,036. That was just the first year. So it would double that, and you'd get, what, $280,000 about over 2 years? But that's what the mining journal said, whether that's accurate or not.
And that was just 0.5.
0.5.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a lot, assessed valuation is a lot higher now than it was in 20, I would think.
And there are some, I did bring a poster to the library, but if you share with your friends that date and time, it would be great to have a full room here with people who are wanting, you know, they'll tell you what they want, but if they would come and be part of the exercise, that would be great. And I think he's gonna have some snacks too. That always draws people.
Okay. All right. No,
Oh, you gotta call the question.
Yeah, I don't believe we had a vote, no.
oh, okay, you're right.
Sure, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Unfinished business.
How will that motion from the planning commission be communicated to John Kangas and the township board?
I think Jason does that, and I'm not sure how the township board gets it when John Kangas gets it to the township board. I think that's how that works.
Yep,
I think so.
yes.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't, yeah. We don't send it directly to the township board. I don't think that's what Jason said once. It has
No, typically,
it has a pathway.
I'm not too familiar with how planning and zoning deals with getting something on a board agenda, but
Yeah.
I think
When it
we can always work through like Randy too, the clerk.
Randy, yeah.
I've worked with him on board items before, so. But staff will handle it.
Okay. Number 8, correspondence. APA zoning practice article, managing pickleball noise through zoning.
Yep, so this is a specialized report from the American Planning Association on the nuisance issues surrounding pickleball. I mean, APA and the Michigan Association of Planning routinely put out publications like this on a number of topics. So obviously this is one that's very relevant currently locally. So we included it for your consideration. I do know that the rec committee, I believe, discussed this too at their most recent meeting. So it's been floating around for a little bit. And then I'll jump right in, unless there's any questions on that, I would just jump right into 8B, and that's just the monthly, or I guess, bi-monthly, once every 2 months issue of the Michigan Planner, which is the publication that the Michigan Association of Planning puts out.
We get a copy of that.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
We do.
Because I remember I was looking at that land division act.
Okay. Well, that's,
Yeah, so that's why I was like, oh, I've seen this before.
I'm happy to know that, but I will probably include these moving forward, just so it is part of the public record, for lack of anything else. But I'm happy to know that everybody's getting that individually, so. Because it's got good information.
Yeah.
Any comments or questions about either of the eights? A or B? Okay. Reports, 9A Township Board Report, Linda Winslow.
So the Township Board met on August 19th. Some things that were of interest to many people were the annual report from Maureen McFadden on the Senior Service Center in Marquette, which includes Marquette Township residents use that service as well. There was some discussion about looking at how we currently bill for the trash hauler to pick up our trash and our recyclables. So that will be coming down the pipeline as we look at budget. So if you have more trash and or recycle cans that you want, you might want to turn them in. Because the talk has been that you'll be billed by the number of cans, containers you're using. So, the other thing was pickleball. We met with the Recreation Committee prior in a work session. There were people who played pickleball in attendance at the township facility, as well as a neighbor. And he did have another neighbor come along as well, who lives by the ice arena, so kind of a little bit farther away. We asked, that people come to middle ground kind of thing, so we could work this out, so we would have, maybe not everybody thrilled, but at least we would have some ground to work with. What came out of that was that the Recreation Committee and the Township Board agreed to purchase pickleball balls that are not as noisy and pickleball rackets that are, quote, not as noisy, to see if that gets rid of some of the noise issues. There's a lot, as people have said, about the whole pickleball thing out there. We did, and one of the things I heard, and maybe you'll listen to the discussion, was that the intent was that that was not for competitive pickleball play in that area. That is for recreational pickleball. So we'll see how that goes. And currently, they shut pickleball down till the stuff arrives. Now, pickleball season will be over soon. It maybe has only one more month. Most people don't play when it's 50 out. At least recreational people don't play when it's 50 out. So hopefully we have some data prior to shutting it down. And then we'll have some data after the new equipment arrives. So I think I'm gonna learn to play pickleball. Because, it's easy to sit here and say blah, 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 but if you don't play, in my mind, it's hard to judge, so.
When's the new equipment expected?
I have no idea. Do you guys hear? No, we
I
don't
didn't
know.
see John testing out some balls in the parking lot today, so I don't know if that was
Oh,
the shipment of arrival or not, or he's just testing something else out, but.
yeah. And know that the pickleball balls are not very expensive. I think it was the ones I looked at online. I'm not sure what they bought because they asked an expert who plays what to purchase, but it was like 12 balls for $24, so. People said, oh, they're gonna just end up walking away, or someone's gonna walk away with them. But,
You're trying it.
we're trying it, okay? And we certainly don't that middle ground certainly doesn't look at closing down a recreation opportunity that is well used by a large number of people in an age group that needs to recreate. Which is everybody I hear is starting to play pickleball, so. That is pretty much what I remember. And I'm just looking at this, but, yeah. Do you guys remember anything else? Jason was online.
About competitive play, were they hosting like tournaments or something?
No, they were not, but I guess, I guess some people are quite competitive, and they probably, I don't know, maybe they hit the ball harder. I don't know, so I have to go learn about it all. There are no tournaments per se scheduled there. That doesn't mean people don't have individual competitive games, though. But there are other places to play. And Maureen, who did the senior report, there is pickleball above her office every weekday.
Where's that at?
It is in the old Berga
Oh,
gym,
they play in the gym?
every day.
Oh, that's gotta be loud. Inside.
I don't know, she didn't, she's probably hoping for
And Sands Township has pickleball courts.
they do, but here's my thought about all of that. You have to drive to Sands.
Right.
You can walk to Marquette Township's pickleball court if you live in Trowbridge.
Sure.
It's less than a mile.
Who, I'm just curious who else has them?
Right Street, NMU has pickleball courts right across the street.
Yeah. And I'm not sure who can use those, Denny. Those are Northern's courts, and just like other Northern things, that's
They wanna be paid.
That's
for
reason,
it?
well, I don't know that, but the students, that, those recreation facilities were built for the students. So I do know people do play pickleball there. And then there's the Berga Gym. And I don't know where else, do you? Do you know where else?
Ishpeming Township, I think, on the highway over by the fire hall, I think they have.
Oh, so the
something
tennis
like
courts.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
guess they get utilized a lot too.
And Danny talked about our 5-year plan as a rec committee with that goal of building something like Marinette has done. So I did ask, my sister lives in Marinette. I asked her and her husband how that was funded. That was funded from primarily from donations within the community funded that. The city of Marinette put money into it, and the county of Marinette County put money into it. And people pay $4 to play there.
I think the community, like in our train, they built their own as well. And they got together and just did it.
And who knows, I don't know, maybe the rec committee will partner with the pickleball group. I don't know. Maybe they have the money.
Certainly a possibility. I mean, there are things that we could potentially construct without grant funding as well.
If you talk to Tom, who's on the rec committee, he confirmed that the Superior Pickleball League or Superior Pickleball Group, whatever, is a 501c3, a nonprofit.
Yeah, so they could partner with us.
And apparently, he has some ideas about approaching money interests, like the hospital, some institutions who might want to give name recognition and so forth. And he even contacted what we were talking, because we took a field trip together down to pickleball court. Anyway, he contacted the president, and the president texted him back a GIS thing of a pickleball court proposed with a figure of $350,000. So I think that group would be a good group to partner with, and maybe to follow up on your suggestion, Jason, which again is mirrored in this wants acquire land and develop it as a township center park. Maybe the first thing to inspire people, since there's so many people that are so crazy about pickleball, is, hey, who wants to come to a fundraiser sponsored by the Superior Pickleball Group to put a pickleball court and make that an anchor project for this land over there by the wellhead? Is that what we're thinking of?
Yeah, I don't know, I'm not gonna say
Well, I
anything
mean,
about that.
no, an example, just perhaps, something like that. Anyway, or some other area suitable, yeah.
Looking for an opportunity.
Looking for an opportunity, but that might be a way of motivating. I found that in my own experience with 501c3s and trying to get money, you have to have something that inspires people.
Yeah.
Something that fires them up. And people are so fired up about standing out there with some oversized ping pong paddles and hitting the ball around. You know, that might be an option. Another comment I'd like to add to Linda's report is that there were, and this is also on my recreation committee report, which we kind of go away with right now. There were some articles from the American Society of Acoustics that were circulated and made available to the recreation committee. And also this, which talk about the difference between tennis noise and pickleball noise and the signature, and there's a certain sound signature and so on and so forth. And then this American Association of Planners, yes, the American Association of Planners, talking about zoning as a way of doing it. And John Layton, is it John, is that his, yeah? He made a comment at the joint work session that the planning commission is probably gonna have to deal with this as a zoning issue because people are gonna be wanting to put these in their backyard perhaps. And then that would be, so it's just on the horizon for us. There's also one more thing that came out of that meeting is there was a letter that was sent to Lynn, and she read it aloud at the joint meeting, and then apparently read it aloud at the township board meeting, from a neighbor who cited our existing noise ordinance and argued with some credibility that perhaps the pickleball court at Lions Park already violates our noise ordinance. Not saying it does or it doesn't, but this was the thrust of her letter. So those are all things to consider.
That's the end of my report.
Anything more with the township report? 9B, Recreation Committee report. Denny?
Yeah, we pretty much covered it, except I just want to mention that Jason at the Recreation Committee gave us more pages of the draft of the update, and he's already mentioned about the public meeting. Linda talked about the storybook thing, and that's about it.
Okay. 9C, Planning and Zoning report.
Pretty busy. I did send a transmission, a gentleman from Michigan Broadband acquired all of the Michigan Bell AT&T assets in the UP as part of a sale. And that includes the building in between Walmart and Menards. We had several conversations. The gentleman wants to make a contribution to the township. Either it's gonna be us or the DNR. The DNR might be more appropriate. We'll have those conversations, but the undevelopable part of that property and the part of the property that is encumbered by an easement that connects the tunnel to the Honor Heritage Trail, he would like to donate that property to the township or the DNR. We'll figure out how to best do it. But in the same paragraph in the conversation, he also expressed that he would be open to selling the property for redevelopment purposes. So I put together a transmission to all of the developers that I've worked with over the last 15 years on a blind carbon copy, and sent the email to myself just indicating that this is an opportunity for us, that we have easement in the area. We would like to, whatever the redevelopment of that property is, we would like to connect to our non-motorized transportation network And we would like to see the property performing in a higher and better use than it is now.
How big is the property?
It's 8 now. The conveyance of the donation would be about 3 acres, and there'd be about 5.5-ish left to develop. There has been previous interest, obviously, in that property, but it has been not on the market until recently. So hoping to get something back that's favorable for us out of that and for the community. The proposed sale of the Westwood Mall, I believe, continues to move forward. There are a number of parties that are interested in that, so I'm not sure who's leading that horse race. But we're hopeful that that will still transpire before year's end, and we will keep you apprised of that. Obviously, the recreation plan and the zoning ordinance update take up a majority of our time, but also we continue to do our day-to-day duties and consistently have questions on various types of developments, whether it be residential or commercial. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, just still a kind of a steady stream of decks and sheds and kind of those accessory residential uses or structures. And then kind of those 2 or 3 or 4 special use permit requests or variances that Jason and myself are dealing with right now too. Between the rezoning one that you've seen at the last meeting and that the special use permit for the tiny home short-term rental use that'll be coming up on the future meeting. So there's a few of those that are in the pipeline too, so.
And the ordinance, the clean up your yard stuff is still going on, right?
Yeah, property maintenance is maybe taking a bit of a back burner, but I did put in my report to the board last month that there has been some significant improvements along County Road 550 that I've noticed. So thanks to Eric and previously to Kyle for him initiating that, and I hope he's doing well wherever Kyle's at. But yeah, Eric and I have tried to stay on top of that as much as possible and continue to administer it the best we can, given the workload we have to prioritize. But there has been improvements, and that's nice to see. Along with that, there hasn't been any new cases that I'm aware of that have come to us, so it's been decent summer for that. That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Jason about planning and zoning? Any announcements from anyone? And no public comment since there was no public here. And additional comments from the commissioners.
I most likely will be out of town the entire week of our next meeting on the 9th. Just as a heads up.
Oh.
I'll be coming in, so-
Yep, and I too will be out of town.
For
On the
9/9?
9/9.
Okay.
I'll be here.
Okay. We need 3 of you to hold a meeting, so.
How about you,
And
man?
that night we'll have,
Say a
Just
public
haven't gotten
hearing.
that far in my life yet.
that night we'll have a map amendment public hearing, that's for the rezoning, and a request to schedule, or no, never mind. It'll just be that rezoning map amendment public hearing.
For Odaver's property, that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. As far as formal decisions to be made, that would need a quorum.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's been noticed in the mining journal. Letters have went out to neighbors, so the ball's rolling on that one.
Okay. Is that, were they gonna use the whole building on that, or just, they're already in half of it, I think, aren't they? Like, that's divided into half,
I
so,
remember right, the proposal was for the entire building.
Oh,
The
I
entire
think so too.
property.
yeah.
Not just the building, the property.
Okay.
Are they looking to actually sell the property to Able?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's something you should ask.
Yeah, that's a.
I felt like that's what he
Half the
said.
building half the building is vacant, the construction company moved out, their lease was up, and they knew about this coming.
Yeah,
They
we're,
knew it.
we're hopeful that if this does go through and the sale does go through, that there would be a significant improvement to the site.
We're talking about our next meeting on the 29th, that we're gonna have,
A zoning map amendment
yeah. and-
for light, medical manufacturing.
Mhm.
So that's not to establish the use, that's only to change the ordinance to allow it by special use permit.
Yeah.
So then,
They have to come back.
they have to come back in another public hearing for the special use and any site plan that would be required as a result of the special use permit. So this is just the first step in that process.
What's the sale issue?
I just asked in
Just
general, because when you weren't at the last meeting, it was very interesting, it was brought to our attention that building, when Eric put up the zoning map, it's split right down the middle of the building, it's zoned whatever on one side and something else on the other side, part of the building, which is weird, and I'm like, well, how did that ever happen? Well, the property is owned by the Odavero family, but part of the family owns one side of the building, part of the family owns another side of the building, and they are in the process of trying to resolve or come to a consensus on how to work that out, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Well, they're gonna, yeah, I don't wanna get into the weeds on that.
Yeah,
We'll
me
sort it
either.
out before the public
Just trying to
hearing.
explain to you what it was.
I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So the question is, if Able takes over that entire building and they're gonna sell it, just all to Able.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't matter on our decision on what the question is, it was more out of
Curiosity.
Oh, I see.
curiosity
Okay,
for the
okay.
plans.
Thank you for explaining that.
So
Which I
we're,
think is a good question, but it doesn't, go against what our vote should be.
is that Fit Body Place going anywhere then, or
He wants to find a home for it.
they don't know yet?
yeah, he's
Oh, I
been in
think he has the
discussions
phone.
with another entity in the township
Oh.
about constructing new.
Constructing new?
Mhm.
Oh. Thought maybe he might have bought Koskinee's, that's up for sale too.
I don't know that he owns that, does he? He doesn't own that, I don't
Possibly.
think. I don't think he, well.
Oh, yeah, he has it for sale.
Yeah, but I don't know that he owns the building,
Yeah, he does.
does he? Oh,
Okay,
don't
Point of order.
know anything about that. Okay, just keep going, right?
Those are our comments.
all right. Any other comments from the commissioners? Nope, nope, nope.
I'll do my best to be here on September 9th. I just haven't gotten-
Okay.
Yeah,
so do
no, if
our
something
best.
comes up, just
let us
please
know.
let us know
Yeah.
ahead of time, because we'll have to
Yeah,
reschedule.
I will.
Better to reschedule than only have two here that night
Right.
without a notice, yeah.
No, it's my mission.
And there, for sure, neither one of you are gonna be
I'm
here?
gonna be in Seattle.
And
3 of us?
Yeah.
just
I
3 of
have-
us.
I have company coming in.
Okay.
The only thing that would deter that would be like a medical situation or something.
Okay.
Could happen. We've seen something happen.
Linda, anything else? Meeting adjourned at 7:02.